Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a look at Final Girl from designers AJ Porfirio and Evan Derrick and publisher Ryder Games. This is a sort of reworking, reimagining of their previous game, Hostage Negotiator, this time now set in the theme of Final Girl, the last girl surviving in a horror movie, facing off against the big bad killer in whatever movie it is. This is a unique game in that it is a core box that sort of has all of the pieces that you need to play the game, and then each of the different sort of movies or feature boxes will provide a location and a killer that you will use to play for any given sort of play of this game, and they're all swappable in together. I've got here the core set now. They sell it as a sort of starter set, which gives you that core box plus the Happy Trails Horror, which is the sort of standard feature box for this game that doesn't have any crazy rules, twists, or anything else. It is themed on the sort of Friday the 13th campground horror story kind of thing where a masked killer is hunting down teens at a camp and what have you. Small disclaimer on this one, this was not given to me by the publisher, but as you know, I am sponsored on this channel from Noble Knight Games, and this game was picked up using the credit that Noble Knight gave me at their store. So quick shout out to Noble Knight, great store, great online store, awesome trades program. Definitely check them out using my affiliate link down below if you are doing any shopping for games. With that said though, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of Final Girl, begin by placing the player board out on the table, selecting from either the extreme horror side or the normal standard side. I will be playing with the standard side of the game. Next, choose a Final Girl to be playing in the game. You'll see in just a minute that I will be playing with the Camp Happy Trails box of the game, and I will explain what that means in just a minute. But in there, I have two choices for Final Girl, Reiko and Lori. I will be playing with Reiko, so I will set her down here where it says Final Girl on my board. And let me just slide things over to get a little bit more space on screen. Next, I will also place out these 6 dice here next to my player board. And then finishing the setup of sort of me and my board, I will place this hourglass token on the 6 right there of my time track. And I will set her starting health. What we can see here is a 6 by placing out 6 hearts in that area right there. But for the final health, instead of placing a normal heart, we're going to take one of these +1 die hearts at random. I'll explain what that means in just a second. I'm going to place them all face down like this, shuffle those up, and choose one of those as my final piece of health. And again, I will explain that just a bit later, but for right now I'll slide those off the screen and I will come back in just a minute. Next, to continue setup, I need to choose the sort of feature film that I'm playing. The feature films are basically expansion boxes, but there is no sort of game in the core box. The core box is sort of just the pieces you need for all of the games, and the actual game itself is going to come through in the feature film. So for this playthrough, I will be playing Camp Happy Trails with Hans the Butcher, who is the killer from that set. So from that set, we're going to take out both the Hans the Butcher player board as well as the Camp Happy Trails player board and set those out on the table as well. And let me slide things around just a bit to make sure everything fits on the screen nicely like that. To set up the killer, we're going to take the finale cards, these 3 here that show the upper half of the killer's body, giving those a shuffle, placing one out here at the top, removing the rest from the game. Then from these bottom cards as well, the dark power cards. One of these dark power cards you'll see is an epic dark power, which is going to make things even more difficult. I'm going to remove that one from the game, so we're not playing with that. Give those a shuffle and choose one of those at random as well, placing that down here at the bottom, like that. Next, to set up the killer's terror deck, I'm going to take these two sets of decks, and you'll see here, this is the deck marked for the killer himself, and this is the deck marked for the location. And I'm going to shuffle those two decks together to make a terror deck. And I will place that terror deck right here next to Hans's board, sliding things over just a little to make sure that is on screen like that. Then, just like we did before, setting up the health for Hans, he's going to start with 12 health. So I'm going to slide those chips back in that we used last time, picking another one of those at random for him, and then I will fill in the rest of those with 11 hearts, removing the rest of these from the game. Also on his board, I need to place this small red bloodlust marker down here at level 1, or at this bottom space here. And finally, based on this symbol up here, this is level 4 horror to start, so I will place one of the killer's meeples on the level 4 space of that horror track. Next, to set up the location, I need to take the location's item cards that look like this, give them a good shuffle, and then lay out 3 piles of 4 cards in each location, face down, and then flipping the top card. And to do my best to fit everything on the screen, I have slid the location board just a little bit further down. The remaining item cards have been removed from the game. Next, to set up the location itself, I'm going to take the setup cards from the set that I'm playing with, turn one of those over, and then set up all of the things on the board as shown on the card. So here you can see up close, the killer meeple will go up there, my meeple will go down here, and then I'll place out survivors or campers at each of those locations up to the values shown on the card. So it ends up looking something like this. And again, you'll see that this scenario or setup is called the bonfire. So we've got 6 campers at the bonfire, at the fire pit, 2 others right next door, and then there are 2 together up at makeout point. From that point, I don't need the setup card anymore, but I can set it right there just to see that that was my setup. And then finally, we're going to take the event cards from the location or set that I'm playing with, give those a shuffle, and to start the game, I will be drawing one of those. So it says, this time I am playing with stubborn kids. Damn teenagers think they know everything. It says one less victim will follow. You'll see what that means in just a second when I explain how the game plays. But to finish the setup of the game, I then need to place out all of the action cards of the game. And action cards are mostly going to be cards that I'm going to be buying, except for a few that we're going to start with. So I'm going to place out all of these different things onto the board or the play area, and I will explain what everything is in just a minute. And then finally, the action cards that have a 0 in the bottom corner will be starting in my hand. So I've got a weak attack, a walk, a short rest, a focus, and another walk. Like that to start in my hand. And like that, we are all set up for playthrough. So a game of Final Girl will play out over an indeterminate number of turns until either I kill Hans or Hans kills me. And each turn is going to play out over a series of phases. In the first phase, the action phase, I'm going to be playing cards, taking actions, doing what I can to sort of increase my situation in the game. After I have used as many actions as I want to, discarding the ones that I've used, I can hold on to any actions that I haven't spent, and then I will use any remaining time to buy new action cards for the following round in what is called the planning phase. After I've picked up every card that I wanted, I will then put all of the cards in my discard pile back into the locations where they came from. If there are 0 cards, I'll just sort of stick them off down here into the corner, which is worth noting then that any card that I've played will have sort of 1 round cooldown before I can get it back again, even the ones that are free for me to add into my hand. After that, the killer will take their turn. The killer will activate whatever it shows here next to this killer icon, and then we will draw and resolve one terror card, which is sort of going to be pushing along the killer's agenda in some way. And then finally, in the upkeep phase, if there are no terror cards, I will reveal this finale card and will be sort of pushing towards endgame even faster. So what am I going to be doing on my turn with my actions? Well, if we take a look at my cards, there are a couple of different things that I will be doing. This short rest card, for example, is how I'm going to be healing myself. This focus card is going to be used to, you'll see in just a second, decrease horror meter, which means this horror meter is showing me at any given time how many dice I'm going to be rolling when I activate one of these action cards. And I'll explain what that means in just a second after I show you a few more of these. But by lowering my horror level, I will be potentially rolling more dice and having more success in my actions. Here I can attack. This attack is how much damage I would be doing to the enemy, or to the killer in this case, since they are the only enemy, and will be sort of manipulated or changed by any weapons that I might have in my hands at any given time, and I'll explain that when we get into fighting. I can move around on the map using this walk action, and moving around means that for every space I am allowed to walk from a card, I can move from space to a connected space. And anytime I move from a space with a victim into an adjacent space, I'm allowed to bring 2 victims with me into the next space. However, because of the stubborn kids, I'm only ever going to be able to move 1 victim with me at any given time. But anytime I get a victim or victims to either of these green zones, these exits on the board, I'm allowed to allow them to escape from the game. And any escaped victim that I have will get placed on these slots on my card, giving me some kind of unlockable, and ultimately when I've placed 5 on the card, it will flip over and give me some kind of special ability for my character. So basically I want to be walking around the map, saving as many victims as possible, doing damage to the killer whenever possible, and also in 3 locations here, the dock, the cabins, and the utility shed, there are items available for me to search for if I have this action here, which is the search action. So at the utility shed right now, I can see there is an axe. At the dock, I can see there is a bear trap, and at the cabins, I can see there is a flashlight. And let's have a look at what those 3 items do, just so you understand what's going on. This first one, the flashlight, Mom always said this would scare away the monsters under my bed. I hope she was right. It says once per action, I can spend time to look at the top card of the terror deck and leave it or place it at the bottom. So this is going to give me some idea of what the killer is doing on their turn. The bear trap. Anybody who steps on this is going to have a really, really, really bad day. Spend 2 time to place the bear trap token in my space, not the lake, because it'll sink right to the bottom, and then discard this card. If the killer enters the space with the bear trap, I'm going to discard the token and immediately end the killer phase. So it wipes out his turn and does 2 damage to him. Now that's pretty cool, setting up a trap. And an axe is a weapon. Now, here you can see that there are hands. On my player board, I have 2 slots for items, this backpack and my hands. I only have 2 hands, obviously. So I can only have up to 2 hands worth of stuff, which that axe I just showed you is a 2-handed weapon, so this would fill up that slot completely. I can have any number of things in my backpack, but I can only swap them between my hands and my backpack during the upkeep phase at the end of my turn. And you'll see here that every weapon then has a range and some additional damage that it does when I do an attack action with this. So this is a pretty strong weapon, but I need to be in the same space as the killer to use it. And of course, first I need to go there and pick it up. So that's basically it for the flow of the game, but I'm sure that none of that makes any sense yet without me showing you all the explanation for each of the little individual pieces. But instead of trying to do all of that in advance, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of play through my first turn so you can see how everything works. I'll explain each piece as I do it, and then the same thing with Hans the killer phase. And hopefully by the end of the first turn, it all makes sense, and then I will just continue playing through. All right, so on my turn, I can see so many people are gathered down here in the bottom corner. So I'd like to try and start getting some of them out of there. Again, I've got 2 walk cards, a short rest, which I don't really need now because I'm at full health. Some focus cards that would be nice to start spending now to get the horror down low, to start getting some other stuff done. And again, a weak attack that's not really going to help. Now, the way that actions work in Final Girl is every time I play a card, I'm going to roll dice depending on the location of the horror track that I'm currently at. So in this case, I'm rolling 2 dice. So I'm going to roll those 2 dice, and then depending on what shows on those dice, it's going to sort of determine what strength or what type of thing that I get out of that. And the dice all have 6 sides. Obviously, it's a D6. Side 1 and side 2 are blank. Side 3 and side 4 show 2 cards. And what this means is I need to discard 2 cards from my hand in order for that to count as a success. And then side 5 and side 6 have stars, and those stars directly count as success. And then based on the number of successes, either 2, 1, or 0 that I roll, I will then get something happening from that card related to obviously the type of card that that is. So what I'd really love to do is get some of this stuff. Utility shed's way out here where the axe is. I can get the bear trap at the dock, setting it up over here somewhere. I kind of want to come over this way to get some people to the exit, maybe get to the end my turn at the dock, so in the next turn I can get a search and take care of that. But first things first, I want to focus to see if I can get my horror level to go down, so I can get lower and potentially start rolling 3 dice and having more double successes. So rolling 2 dice for my focus, and I instantly rolled 2 nothings, so that card goes away, but for rolling 2 nothings, I'm losing 2 time, and that's going to be a pain because that's time is what I'm spending to buy stuff later on. So I don't like that. But there's nothing I can do about it right now because I don't have any cards that help me with that, but I am going to try again with my second focus card. And that time I rolled a success and 2 cards. In either case, I'm getting a negative horror, but the 1 star gets me a loss of time, and 2 stars gets me 2 time up. So I'd rather have my time back. So I already mentioned before, I don't need that short rest or that weak attack right now. So I'm going to use those 2 cards to get a second success, pushing that up to 6 and pushing that back to 3. And now let's try and get ourselves over there to get some stuff done. I rolled 1 success, which says move up to 1 space and lose 1 time. So I'm going to move from here to here, using my second walk, rolling again. And this time I got 1 and double cards, which is nothing. So it says move up to 1 space, but I hurt myself doing it and it costs me 2 time, or I can just do 2 time. I do want to move. So I am going to move there. I am losing 2 time to a 3, and I do hurt myself for 1, unfortunately. Actually, let's just do a pile of health there. So that's the end of my action phase. My planning phase, now I have 3 time to spend. I'm at the dock. I want that bear trap, so I'm going to take a search for 2 time, which leaves me 1 time left. And I will use that to take this close call. And close call is interesting. It says play after any horror roll to re-roll a die or re-roll all dice and spend 2 time. Just to show you this search up close. When I roll 2, I get to take the top 2 item cards and choose one. The second one, I take the top item card. Both of those cost 1 time. Next one lets me take the top item card but 2 horror increase, or 1 horror increase with no item and spend 2 time. Just looking through the other cards real quickly, I've got this guard card that's basically going to allow me to ignore damage from an attack. The sprint that lets me move 3 spaces instead of potential 2 spaces from a walk. Improvise turns all 3s and 4s into successes for either an action phase or a single roll. Distraction is sort of an updated focus that can get -2 horror instead of -1 horror. Retaliate is like the guard, except not only am I defending against attacks, I'm also causing damage in return. Planning gets me extra dice. Furious Strike is a stronger attack other than the weak attack. Critical Blow is an even stronger attack, but it costs 6 time to buy. And this Long Rest is an updated short rest. It's going to heal me a lot, but it costs 5 to buy. All right, so the killer's turn, we're going to activate the killer's attack here. This says that he's targeting either the final girl or a victim to attack in his space. There aren't any, so that's not a thing. We turn over the top terror card, and we've got a fire. Roll a die to determine the space which bursts into flames. 3, the utility shed is on fire. So all victims in the utility shed are killed. There aren't any. Discard all item cards from that space. Oh, great. So no more axe. If you or an enemy are there, you lose health. There aren't any, so that's actually not too bad because we just had a fire in a shed where nobody was, but I did lose the ability to get all of those items. Also, before I move on, I should have put all of these cards that I've used into the area. I will stick them right there. And then we go to the panic phase. The panic phase is just that. If the killer killed anyone this turn and there are victims in the killer's space, they will run away because they are obviously panicked by the death of someone they knew. That didn't happen. So that's the end of that phase. Upkeep, there is no upkeep phase because there are terror cards. And I did just realize now that I've got way too many terror cards, I forgot one important step. I should have only had 10 terror cards, not the whole stack of terror cards. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I will fix that in the subtitles, but you will have already seen that. These go back there. I don't have any items to rearrange. We start the phase all over again. Now, action phase, all I have is a search card. We are back to 6 time. Wish me luck. I want that bear trap. I got a success. Just 1. So I could use this to re-roll that, but I don't want to because I do get this bear trap. That doesn't flip over. So I do not get to see what's next in that location, but I could search later on if I want to, and that took 1 time to do that. The bear trap does not go in my hand. It just goes into my backpack. That's all that I can do for this turn. So that's it for me. But now I've got 5 to spend. And I'd like to do some sprinting so that I can get some people out. That's 2. 1, 2. I wouldn't mind getting my focus up right now. I've got 3 more to spend. I could get that. Or I could get a 2, means a guard and a close call or something along those lines. I don't see the killer coming flying at me yet because he's only moving 1 space per activation. I'm going to take a distraction. And I also get all of my 0 cards back for free. That's to 0. We reset to 6. And it is the killer's phase. Again, attacking nobody in their space. Terror card. What's that noise? Let's go and see. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next terror card. There are. Otherwise, all victims move 1 space towards the closest enemy. So the 2 at Lover's Lane come here. He goes there. The whole fire pit moves out. And they also move there. Then, the killer attacks a target in their location. There are none. That means the killer is moving towards the closest victim on the board. And the killer's movement is determined by its location on this track, which right now is just 1. So the killer is coming here, where there is 1 victim, but they're not attacking until the next turn. Panic phase, no one died, no one's running. Upkeep phase, nothing to keep up. My turn. I want to walk. Oops, hold on, this search goes back. I want to walk, no. I want to, where did I get it? Distraction. Let's see if I can push back to there. Rolling the 2 dice. I get a star and a 1. I am going to re-roll that close call. Please, whoops, sorry, not that. Just a blank one. Wish me luck. No luck. All right, 1 star is fine. 1 star still gets me -1 horror and +1 time. So then I am going to try a focus this time, which gets me a potential 2 cards. I don't expect I'm attacking or resting this turn. No, I don't need a focus again right now. I'm going to use a focus and a short rest for a single attack, a single success, which does cost me 1 time, but does push the focus back 1, so that, yes, I now roll 3 dice. Yay. Okay. Then I had better, yeah, see, this is a problem. We can only, all right, I want to walk, rolling all 3 dice, getting 2 successes. Means I can move up to 2 space for 1 time. That's great. 1, 2. I'm in this location with them. I spent 1 time. And now I am going to use my bear trap. Spend 2 time to place a bear trap here in that location where all these people are. Now, just want to show you real quickly. I can, because this is probably a good time to show you this. Take a card that looks like this. There are 3 different colors and shapes. Stick that somewhere, which I guess I'll do right here. I can place all of them there, and then I will just place that token there to show all of those people are at that location. Then I'm going to walk and hope that I can get in there with him without much damage. And I lost a die. All right, so we can pay for a success. But if I pay for a success, then I can't do anything else. So no, I am going to walk up to 1 space by taking a damage, which may be stupid, and 2 times. And then I want to sprint and try and save that victim from that guy. Yay, 2 successes. Move up to 3 spaces for a time. So I'm taking that victim and running. 1, 2, 3. Cost me 1 time, but that victim is safe coming over here. And when that goes on my card, I will gain 2 time. Yeah, do I want 2 time? I could heal. I could take a planning action card, which I don't really need right now. Move a space or move a space. I think I'm going to heal, actually, because you can choose any space you want to on that card. So I didn't get any time. It means next turn is going to be really not great. And that was my sprint, which means I didn't use my weak attack. I have nothing to spend. There are no free cards. So that's the end of that phase. All of these cards go back. Free cards here. And those go like that. The bear trap is discarded, but it says that when he steps into that location, they will take 2 damage. Let's see what happens. First things first, he attacks there, nothing happens. Next, I fell asleep. What did I miss? Place 1 new victim at the cabins. Where are the cabins? Up here, there's a new victim. And then 2 horror increase. That's sad, because I now can't roll my 3 dice anymore. But that's nice because nothing bad happened. Yeah, nothing bad happened on that turn. So this goes back to 6, back to the action phase. Again, all I have is this card. I'm not attacking anything. Passing means I've got 6 to spend. 6 means I want to sprint. 1, 2. Maybe 2 sprints? No, I want a distraction. 3, 4, 5, because I want to get that back down again. Ah, wait a minute, I get all my free stuff back. No. In that case, I'm getting 2 sprints, because then I can run in and out, which isn't great. This saving 1 person at a time thing is not nice. I want to guard so I can't get hit. That's already 6. Yeah, we'll stop there, and I get all of these back. Killer takes their turn. He kept swinging his hammer and killing and killing. If there are no victims, there are. So he's going to move towards the closest victim and then attack, and then again find the closest victim, move there and attack. Well, the closest victim is at this location, so he does get hit by the bear trap, losing 2 health. But now he's going to attack, killing that victim. And every time they kill the victim, their bloodlust goes up by 1. He's attacking a second time, killing another victim. Bloodlust goes up by 1, and you'll see now here, horror increases by 1. That's the end of his turn. Now panic is going to happen, but before we do that, I just want to play with something fun. There is a book called the Gruesome Death Book that actually sort of gives a story for every death when it occurs, and I kind of want to play with that because it's fun. So we just got killed, 2 people during the he kept swinging his hammer and killing. Says, the bodies were stacking up around Hans as he swung his hammer. Cracked skulls and ruptured organs lay scattered about him. Though his face wasn't showing, Haley thought he looked content with his work. She couldn't do anything, and she knew it, so she got down on her knees and prayed. Hans approached her and raised his hammer in the air and brought it down on her bowed head. Crunch. All right, so we did just lose 2 people, and now they are going to panic. So there are 5 victims there. We're going to roll 5 dice slowly, one by one, to see what happens. And you'll see around here, or I don't know if you can see from up here, it says 1 to 4, 5, and 6. So there's a 3, he runs there. There's a 5, they run there. There's a 6, they run there. A 5 down here. And a 2 runs here. Whoops, what did I just do? Trying that again. These 2 should have been the ones running, not the ones from the cliff over here. So let's put those back there. Which means we don't need this card anymore because nobody is there anymore. No upkeep to be done. There are still cards in the tarot deck. We're still good to go. My turn. Let's focus first. See what we can do. 1 something nothing, but I still want to do that. Short rest I'm not too worried about right now. Weak attack's not happening, although I need to start hitting him or I'm going to be in trouble, but that's fine. Means I get 1 minus horror minus 1 time. Let's try and sprint. Nothing. Which means I could move a space, but then I have to take a damage and lose 2 time and end my turn immediately. So instead I lose 1 time, 2 times, sorry, and 1 health. That was horrible. Way to trip completely. Let's try again. All right, that's a 2 card or a fail. I can't let it be a fail. So I am going to, that was my second sprint, use a walk and a focus. And let me, sorry, I covered it up. Lets me move 2 spaces and lose 1 time. So I'm going to, yuck. 1, 2, take somebody out to gain 2 time. And then walk and hope for a double success. I haven't been having great luck with these dice today. Ooh, and there it is. So 1, 2 again. He comes out. And I will take this planning card for free. Then I have 4 points to spend. I kind of want that retaliate, but it's kind of useless right now. Because next turn I don't have much of anything. I'm going to take a distraction and a close call. Like that. These cards go back. Sprint. Those are all zeros, like that. Killer's phase. He attacks, there's nobody there because they all ran away. He just keeps coming. Horror goes up. They are moving towards the closest person and attacking. Still moving 1 space. Horror goes up 1. Closest space is here or here. They always move to the location that has more stuff. So they're going there and killing someone at the fire pit, moving up. And the story says, Hans was making his way after Harry, who stood at the end of the trail. Harry held a revolver up and warned the man, "If you take 1 more step, I'll shoot." Hans continued walking, now gripping his sledgehammer with 2 hands. Harry fired, grazing Hans on the shoulder. He fired again and hit Hans on the side of his arm, but Hans kept walking. Harry clicked the trigger again and it was empty. "Only 2 bullets?" he said as Hans swung his hammer into his jaw. Crunch. All right, bye-bye, Harry. Then Panicking is going to happen because there is a guy there, and Harry just got hit. Moving to 1 means nowhere. There is no 1, so that victim is staying right there despite being panicked. They kind of just ran around in a circle. I can't get to them, so they're going to definitely die, but let's see what happens. Well, I'm going to play a distraction. I'm keeping planning. I might use the close call if I can do something with it this time. I got 1 success. Yeah, 2 would be nice to have. Let's see what I can do. I don't know if this is a good idea, but let's see what happens. Go. Nope. Okay, so we get 1 success. Time goes up. Whoops, I should have started at 6. I'm at 7. Horror goes back 1. I can spend 7. Let's see. I'd love to find an item. Let's search. Sprint. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 3 left. A close call. And another sprint. 2, 4, 6, 7. I think so. 0. So these go back. I get all my zeros back again. Got a lot of stuff coming next turn. He kills this guy. On a general roll, we roll a die for story is 2. Says, Bobby was sad that no one wanted to sit by the fire with him. It was his favorite part of camp, listening to the ghost stories and chatting with the other campers. But after the death in the camp the other day, nobody but Bobby wanted to be out at night. He stood next to the fire, poking it with a thin stick. He heard a twig snap behind him and he turned around with a big smile. Who he had hoped to be a campmate turned out to be Hans. His pig mask glinted menacingly in the firelight as he lifted his hammer into his other hand. Bobby was frozen in place with fear, and his breathing grew quiet. Without hesitation, Hans swung his hammer through the air, contacting Bobby's head on its right side. Brain and blood dribbled down into the fire from the hit, sizzling as Hans walked off into the woods. Bye-bye, Bobby. This goes up 1 more. Horror goes up once. Then they take their regular turn, which says, Hans wants me. He's always wanted me. He's going to move twice towards me and attack. And he's moving once each time. So that means once, twice. He is attacking me for 3. I do have a guard, so I will play my guard. My guard got placed over here somehow. Okay, guard. Rolling 2 dice. Come on, 2 successes, please. I got a double card and a nothing. Well, I got to re-roll everything for 2. Please. I should have reset that to 6, so I'm at 4 now. One success, the other one's off the table. I've got, 2 successes. Ignored. So I don't take any damage. That's that. He's standing there next to me. So I'm going to try and hit him. Even I don't have a weapon or anything, let's see what we can do. If I miss completely, that's the end of my turn, though, which is a little bit scary. But do it. There's 1 hit, and there's a something. There are lots of cards that I don't necessarily need. I'm going to pass on a short rest for right now, which might be a mistake, and I'll get rid of 1 walk because I've got 2 sprints to do a hit against Hans. So I do need to step it up a little bit. I'm going to walk to try to get to the dock. And then I keep rolling off the table. 1 success, and that is 2 cards. Walk with 1 success is fine. I'm moving 1 space. This goes down 1. I want to search. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I want to search, which is a 2 card to get something. I need to. I don't like it, but I'm going to get rid of a focus and a sprint to draw an item, which is a trash can lid. It isn't going to stop much, but it's better than nothing. It ignores 1 hit for 3 attacks. So I get to place out 3 little tokens on there, and every time I block a hit with it, that's that. Okay, good. Then I'm focusing again. I'll take the 1 success. Time goes down 1. Horror goes back 1. Sprint, please. I should have used planning, I know that, but That's fine. I get nothing because I only have one card left. That's horrible, which means I could move a space, but it cost me 2 time. Well, either way, I have to lose 2 time. And that is the end of my thing. So I might as well move 1 space. Yeah, I'm going into the lake. I'm swimming my way away from this guy here. Not great idea, but it is what it is. I have nothing to spend. That's the end of my turn. He stabs nobody. Tarot card says, Hans wants me. He's always wanted me. Again, he's coming straight to me, double movement and attacking. So he's going 1, 2, and he attacks for 3. I block 1, 2, 3, and my trash can lid is destroyed. Clang, clang, clang. Okay, so at least I didn't take any damage. Great, but we only have 3 cards left. And all of this is gone. All right, so I can't do anything. All I have is planning, so I've got 6 to spend, basically. So I'm going to get all my stuff back. Plus, I'm going to take a retaliate and a sprint, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Sprint? No. Let's take a distraction. Wait, that's 1, 2, 3, that's 7. I can't. 4, 5, 6. You know what? I'm going to take 2 close calls instead. All right, that's fine. Starting off with a weak attack. Well, that stinks. All right, then I'm going to get rid of 1 walk and 1 focus. No. I took the close calls for a reason. Let's re-roll dice. I'm going to just re-roll 1 so I don't spend the time. And I get the same thing again. Well, that's a waste. All right, then focus and walk I'm spending just to get 1 success on my weak attack, which does hurt him once, but also hurts me once. Then, yuck. I might as well try and focus. Nope. Close call it up. Just 1 die. I'm doing real bad, guys. Nope. I'm not spending cards for that. All right, then we're walking. I killed 2 people. And that's a nothing. Could get 1 success. Or waste 2 time. I'm wasting 2 time. Short rest. No, I can't. That means I heal 1. I get 1 horror. I lose 1 time, and that's the end of my action phase. That's fine. Got 3 to spend. 3 is not great. I'll take a distraction. He tries to attack me. I am trying to retaliate. Come on, double successes. 1 off the table. All right, that's a 2 thing. I don't really want to, but yeah, I have to. I'm retaliating. Oops, hold on. All of those other cards should have gone back already. Okay, so I am retaliating. I'm ignoring all of his attacks, and I'm doing 2 damage against him. That's dead. Then he flips a card. Horrific Hammer Rush. If there are no victims, there are. Otherwise, move to the closest victim twice and stab twice. And for each one that's killed, horror goes up. So he's moving twice and stabbing twice. Means he goes here, kills both of those. Means horror goes up twice. Bloodlust goes up twice, which means he does activate his dark power, which I'll explain in just a second. Those two are gone, and we've got a horrific hammer rush. Let's see what it says. Cat watched in horror as Carl tried to fend off Hans. He is no match for him. Hans swung his hammer into Carl's leg, and she heard a piercing crack. Carl screamed, and in a flash, Hans took the hammer to his neck, crushing his windpipe. Hans now turned his attention to Cat. Sorry, Cat, you got it too. That's it for them. Now, Hans has a dark power that says whenever Hans attacks me at least once, he attacks an additional time. That's really bad. I do not think we're winning this time, because I have no cards. All I'm doing right now is buying things. So I will buy a guard. That's a 2. I have to. I wanted a long rest, but I can't. I will get all of these back anyway. So I got a guard, 2. I want a sprint and 2 close calls. Yeah, and then these go back. I don't think there's any hope of me winning this. Okay, then let's try to sprint. Let's see if I can make my way to those victims. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It takes me 5 to get there. Hold on a minute. Yeah, let's see what happens. 1 success. Moves me 2 spaces. Come on, let's use a close call. See if I can get a second or a third space. I can. Sorry, Hans. So I'm going to run 1, 2, 3 like that. Then I am going to walk. Let's see if I can get to those campers. Success and a nothing. Well, I'm not attacking. And I don't need a double focus. So that's a double success on walk. Hold on, I have to pay the time for my sprint. Now I'm moving up to 2 spaces for a time again. 1, 2, like that. I'm going to short rest. No, not yet. I want to try and get them out of here. Walk. 1 success means 1 space. Good. They're out. Gets me move 1 space back there again. And that's down 1 more. Then I'm going to focus. 1 success means I lose a time, but I go back 1 on the focus. And short rest. Wish me luck. 1 success. Yeah, I'll take it. Down 1 time, back 1 heart. I got nothing left. I got 1 point of time left. I can't buy anything for 1. That's it. Reset that to 6. These all go back like that. Hans's turn. He's stabbing. Nobody's there. He wants fresh blood. If there's no victims, there are. So he's going to move twice towards the closest person and stab once. Move twice means he's moving 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, look at that. But he always targets victims before me, which means I can't ever get my power, which is a problem. And anyway, he was targeting a victim. That means this guy's dead. He goes up 1 more, increases horror again. It's my turn. I'm in trouble, guys. All right, I can't do anything this turn, so I am just spending 6 time, which means a furious strike and a sprint. He takes his turn, which means because of his Dark Accession, he's stabbing me twice. I can only block once. Come on, guard. Wait a minute. Did I want to retaliate? Yeah, you know what? Forget it. I'm cheating. I'm getting the retaliate instead of that furious strike. That's 1 potential success. Let me use a close call to re-roll the other one. Nothing. Okay, so that's discarding these 2 because I have to reduce the attack by 2 and do 1 to him. So he gets hit. I lose 2 damage. He attacks again. I don't have anything to block with. Means I lose 1, 2, and 3. Let's see what happens with my final die. Oh, no extra health. Hans has killed me. Wow, that was rough. I didn't do very well, but I think I did pretty well to show you exactly how everything works in the game. So I still call the video a success. So at this point, I do like to take a look at the components. First things first, let's look at all the wooden bits. I'll pull in some of the things off screen that you didn't get a chance to see. This is the standard version of the game, so everything is just sort of standard meeple shape. And everything looks like that. They are nice consistency or sort of weight heft to them. They're very light, but they're very sort of clacky, if that makes any sense. I do like them. The colors pop. These 3 here are sort of special victims. Some of the events give special things that happen with those victims. The dice are really big and nice and chunky. They are a little bit rounder than I like, maybe. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like they don't roll so well, but clearly they do roll quite well across the table. They are nice dice, and a big handful of these big chunky dice does feel very nice. The cards are glossy finish, no linen finish, but they are a nice thickness to them. All of the iconography, there's lots of busy stuff going on all these cards, but everything makes sense. It's very clear. It's very easy to understand what's happening on all of those cards. So yay, no complaints from me. It's cool that every set comes up with a bunch of different setups for the starting map. It's great that I'm only using 10 out of this huge deck of cards for things that the killer can do. I mean, I'll talk more about how the game plays later, but I just want to show you there's a lot of variability. And in fact, some of the stuff that you didn't get to see, which would have been this next one, is that some of these terror cards are minor dark powers that give the Hans or give the killer additional health and some extra special power. And once you've removed this health, and you have to do that before removing the regular health, that power goes away. Showing you some more of the items here. I'm not going to show them all to you, but I'll show you what I had out right now on the table. Here's a whistle you can spend to call victims to your space, and then all enemies move towards you. But as long as you have the whistle, you can move more victims when you move. Motorboat keys gets you a boat that lets you cross the water by spending 2 points. The flashlight, once per action phase, spend a time to look at the top card of the deck, the terror deck. First aid kit, every time you action card to recover health, recover additional health. Kind of wish I had that. Lucky Rabbit's Foot, discard during the action phase to make a horror roll. For each success, I get to choose increase time, heal, horror back, or move a space. That's really nice to have. Oh, here's a weapon. Ranged weapon 1. Does an additional damage, takes 1 hand. But you can only use it for the weak attack action and not for the stronger ones, which I never really got up to because I wasn't really getting into the swing of things for this game. One more turn and Hans would have activated his special, where you see then that every turn his bloodlust goes up. Then he's moving towards us and attacking additional to the terror card every time. Well, there is no terror card at that point. That's why this flips over. But it is bloodlust every time. So every time he gets to the top, he's recovering health as well as doing that, which is pretty tough. Some of the other stuff that Hans might have: Dark, Darker, Darkest. Again, these 2 are the up top powers. Move and attack, but draw a second dark power when this is revealed. Bloodbath is move twice, attack twice. Bloody Frenzy, as we saw before, this is the epic dark power at the bottom. For every victim he kills, he gets a bloodlust. Here, the Sledgehammer Massacre. For every attack Hans attacks me and the victim in the space. And Feed. For every victim Hans kills, he recovers health. So there's still some other items and other tarot cards that I'm not showing, but I'm not going to dig through everything. That's pretty much all I want to show you for the components. I did use this card here with the token to match the location to store the extra meeples. That's very convenient to have, and like I said, that does come in 3 different colors and shapes. I'm not going to pull out the other cards, but you can see here a blue triangle and a yellow moon to mark 2 other locations. The last thing I do want to show you though is the insert for this game. And as I mentioned earlier, this game is actually 2 boxes because you need the core box for this and all of the little pieces, and then you need at least 1 feature box that gives you the location and the killer. And you can swap and mix and match locations and killers from different features. But for right now, I only have the Camp Happy Trails feature set. Then the core box looks like this. All the hearts go in here. All of these action cards go in here. All of the little dot things go in there. The meeples for all the victims and so on can go in here. In here goes all of the big meeples, sort of the Final Girl and Killer meeples. These hearts don't actually belong here. They go in this slot with all of the other heart tokens that I showed you before. All of the dice fit into here, including the one that went rolling across the floor that I'll pick up later. And then the timepiece can fit in there, and the bloodlust piece can fit in there with this main board on top. And also, in addition to the action cards, the game recommends that you keep the Final Girl cards in here. That way you can mix and match Final Girls regardless of which feature film you are playing with. And that is a magnetic closed box, which does hold everything very nicely, although right now not everything is in there. But you'll see that because the board is on top there, it does hold everything in there pretty nicely. And actually, let me pull that back in one more time because there is one more major important thing I did forget. Once you do that, there is actually a plastic lid that goes on top of that before putting on the board. And then also, I guess I should mention that the rule book also fits in there perfectly nicely as well. But more exciting than that is the feature film. And that's because each feature film box comes with both the killer and the location. And you'll see here, it's actually kind of 2 small boxes that have been connected together. Here's the killer box, or killer side of the box, and here is the location side of the box. And each of these pieces gets an insert that looks like this. And that insert here is going to, for example, hold the event setup and item cards in this lower location, hold all of the terror cards that come from, remembering some of them are killer based and some of them are location based, can go in there. Any tokens like the bear trap that I have for each location can easily fit in there. And then on top of that, this is where it's really cool. This board is actually the side and top edge of the box. So that can just click right on there. It's magnetic. And I should again show you before I do that. That box does also, have a lid if I put it on correctly. That goes like that. And that clicks on like that pretty nicely. And you'll see it's still not closed all the way, but that's because on the other side, same thing again. I've got another little insert that looks the same thing. All of the terror cards and the dark power cards and all of those cards can fit right in there. I believe there are minis for the killers and maybe for the Final Girls that can also store in here if there are no tokens that need to. That again gets a lid placed on it. And then this, clicks on as well. And now you can see that it's going to hold the box in both directions like this. That is the box front and back for that game. Like that. They do swing open, but again, remember, this is all sealed up. And ultimately, this box then goes with my core box into a sleeve like this, and everything is held very nicely together. While we're here for components, there's one final thing that I have not opened, so I can't tell you what's inside, but it's interesting and exciting for me that in the box for the location killer box that came with the 2 Final Girls that I have, I've got these little envelopes that say for Reiko's eyes only and Lori's eyes only, don't open until you've survived the game. Well, guess what? That means that I have not yet survived the game, despite how many times I've played this already. but there are clearly some secret cards in there that I'm excited to see what they are. But this game continues to beat me every time I play it. So unfortunately, I haven't opened those yet. Well, that's basically it for the components and the insert. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. It didn't go too well for me, but it was a lot of fun getting through it and playing through the story anyway. Let's talk about this game. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is a sort of reworking, retheming, reimagining of a previous game from these designers and publisher called Hostage Negotiator, which has a very similar core sort of rule set where you are playing cards for actions, rolling the dice to sort of get successes to trigger those actions, and then also using your sort of time to buy new cards to use in future rounds, only with the theme that you are a hostage negotiator, negotiating with some kind of guy who's got hostages for whatever reason. Different scenarios, just like you have different movies here. But for whatever reason, I only have tried that game once. I actually played it at a board game cafe in New York City many years ago. I took it off the shelf because I'd heard some things about it. I pulled it out, I set it down on a table, and I played through maybe 2 games if I remember correctly. And it just didn't do much for me. It felt random. I didn't really connect with the theme or the story of what was going on in the game. Now, this is one of the early boxes of it. I know since then there is a sort of campaign that's been added onto it and many more scenarios and so on. So it's very possible that the game did sort of evolve a little bit past the version of it that I saw. But for whatever reason, it didn't really work for me. So when this was first announced, I didn't really think too much of it because I remembered the original game and didn't really love it and didn't really have any need to try out a new version of that same game that didn't really work for me. But this game has been getting a ton of buzz from all kinds of people that I do respect, both as people just playing games and also as people like myself who do videos showing off games, reviewing games, and so on. So when I got the opportunity with my Noble Knight credit to pick up a game that wasn't all that expensive, this is the one that I said, hey, you know what? Maybe now it's time for me to do this. And I did snag this game to try it out. And I have to say, yes, I'm very glad that I did. And I'm not sure why. I'm going to walk you through what I like about this game and why this game works for me, but I'm not really sure. Not a whole lot has changed, at least from my very vague memory of what I played of Hostage Negotiator. The core game is still the core game, but somehow this really works. And I think first, let me start with the theming of this game, because I love this game. I am a big fan of horror movies, and I've seen every Friday the 13th movie. I've seen many, many other movies. But the point is the theming here of me sort of struggling to survive against a killer, trying to save the victims as much as possible, doing my best to sort of power myself and put myself in a position that I have enough sort of last-minute strength, last-minute capability to take out this killer and sort of survive standing on the killer's corpse saying, ha! It feels really cool. And a lot of what I didn't love about the original game was this randomness, that it sort of just felt helpless sometimes and I didn't really know what I was doing and it wasn't really working out. And here, the theme sort of plays into that. Because a horror movie is always supposed to feel tense. And a horror movie is always supposed to feel like the person really isn't going to survive and then somehow they pull it out. And that level of sort of tenseness, if that's a word, I don't know if it is, it should be, tenseness works here. It feels thematic and it makes me feel, and granted, in a hostage negotiator situation, it would be tense and that should work there too, but it didn't for whatever reason, and I should maybe go back and try it out. But here it really plays into the theme and it really feels like I am in that situation. Now, granted, I don't fear for my life at any time while I'm playing this game, but it feels like I'm living out the situations that I'm playing through. And also in this game now, they've added this map system where I'm moving around the map and I actually have to get things, go to places to find items, go to places to get victims, and then bring them with me to exits to get them out. I get bonuses when I get them out. If I don't and they get killed, then the bad guy gets bonuses to help them out. And this map system really does add quite a bit to the game, because for me, and again, I don't really remember much about the original game, so I think this is sort of where I stopped making the comparisons. But for me, this game, the actions that I'm doing seem to make more sense. I know why I'm doing, I know what I need to do. I can sort of piece together what has to be done, and then it's sort of down to the roll of the dice whether or not that plan works out, which again feels pretty thematic. This is what needs to happen. This is what I'm trying to do, but boom, randomness happens and I just get hit in the side of the head. I just tripped on a root and now the killer's getting closer to me. It definitely works for me. So let's talk about the core mechanisms of this game. Realistically, the main things you're doing is moving around the map, searching for items, moving around the map some more to get victims off of the map, and then ultimately finding the best way to attack and kill the killer. And that might mean picking up items that help you along the way, picking up weapons that make you stronger along the way, setting up traps for the killer, just building yourself by saving lots of victims and ultimately getting your sort of special ability along the way. But other than that, the main system here is using action cards, rolling dice to activate those action cards, using what little time you have remaining or little sort of value you have remaining to buy new cards for the next round, and then doing the same thing while trying to move around as much as possible, while trying to search for items whenever possible, while trying to focus. That's the other thing we need to talk about here, is the horror track that sort of dictates how many dice I'm rolling each time I attempt one of these action cards. So I do want to use the focus, and I'm sorry I can't remember the other one that's sort of like the upgraded focus, that does hopefully push the horror track back, that allows me to roll more dice, because if I'm rolling 3 dice instead of 2, I have many more opportunities, 4, 5s, and 6s to roll out and give me more successes. Or I should also be paying attention to when I roll 3s and 4s, I can trade in cards to turn those into a success. So if I get lots of low valued cards that I might not actually need to do things with, just by having those cards, I know that I have more likelihood of succeeding on other cards because I can simply discard 2 cards to get that success on a 3 or a 4. So that's another level of things to think about. But then also focusing on what I need to do at any given moment. Is movement more important right now? Is healing more important right now? Is a big, strong attack more important right now? Because those big attack cards take lots of value, take lots of time to buy, which means I don't have anything else to do except one giant hit against the killer. How important is it for me to collect items? How important is it for me to save victims? All of these things are things that I need to think about, and the way that it all works really does work for me. It really feels fun here. There are a couple of other cards that give you more dice, or that allow you to re-roll dice, or do different kinds of things to manipulate your successes for future rolls. I didn't really make great use of those in this playthrough, and that's probably why I didn't do so well, but they're there. So this whole balance of when to do the action, when to sort of prepare for an action, when to heal, when to attack, but most of all, how to best prepare yourself for things not going the way you want them to, so that you're not completely out of luck when something happens and then the killer's just standing there beating you until you're dead. It's really, really interesting to me. And also, I think one thing that may have changed here, and again, I can't remember the original game that well, so I can't say if that's true, but I do feel like this game, a lot of the cards give you a sort of partial success even when you get no successes. There are a couple of cards that, even when you get no successes, give you a little bit of something at the detriment of losing lots of time or losing health or completely just stopping the action phase with that turn, but not just leaving you hopeless with nothing having happened, which is interesting and nice to see, because I know that even if I don't get exactly the result I wanted, I can still push it to do something for me rather than just losing an action because the dice said blech. Dice. This game is dice-based. There will be games when you're rolling wonderfully, and there will be games when every roll is a fail, is a fail, is a fail, is a fail, and that will make the game feel differently every time you play the game. That might bother you if you really, really, really don't like the randomness of dice. This game does have quite a bit of randomness, but again, if you're paying attention, there's lots of ways to mitigate it. There's lots of ways to plan ahead to make sure that the randomness doesn't hurt you too badly in any kind of way. But that's sort of what I can say, because I am not good at this game. I have not yet won at all. I have gotten very, very close, but I have not been able to kill Hans at all. Now, it could just be that Hans is really tough. It could just be that this core story, the Happy Trails horror, is set up in a style that doesn't necessarily match my decision space or the way that I think about puzzles, and it might be that other feature films would connect with me better, or I might understand this sort of looping mechanical narrative in the game better. I don't care. I'm really enjoying this game. Even when I fail, thematically it works. You saw in my playthrough I used that Book of Deaths, Book of Gruesome Deaths I think it's called. They have a PDF for it online. And it just adds a little bit more flair that when the killer kills somebody, it turns it into a scene from a movie. All of this sort of scenery, all of the different items, I haven't talked about this yet, but the different setups are fun because the different setups actually thematically put the things in different places where they belong. Like the one that I played this time had everybody, the bonfire, had everybody standing around the campfire. So we had a ton of victims all in one place with a couple of people scattered here and there. Every time you play, you get a different setup. Every time you play, you get a different event. And right now, off the top of my head, as I'm talking to you, I've forgotten most of them, but there are crazy things that happen that switch up the game. And the one reason I did very not so great this time is because so many victims were all gathered in one place, and I had the event that I can only move one victim at a time instead of two. That really slowed me down, but that's really how this game mixes things up. There was one event that gave me a boyfriend. There was like a boyfriend and a person that together, and when they were with me I had certain powers, but if they died it hurt me. Or there are crazy events that happen like this that twist up the way the game plays, the way the game starts. Remember that Hans has those two cards, one that gives them the dark power in the middle, and one of them is the sort of final scenario when they get super powerful, and those are different every time, that change up the way the game plays. The little addition of the extra health. When I'm down to 1 health, I get to roll 1 die extra to make me sort of that last push. I'm just about to die. I'm just about to die. I can do more. Unfortunately, he crushed me before I got to that point. But also that token could potentially have 1 or 2 hearts on the back of it. So even with that final blow, you could say like, ha, I'm not dead yet, and try one more time. Same thing for him though. I could knock him down and he could get back up again. Thematically, lots and lots of fun. I enjoy this, even if it smashes me down every time I play, just because the story it tells and the adventure that comes out of it is a whole lot of fun. That said, Friday the 13th, not my favorite horror film series. And now there's 2 full season waves of this game, and I know that there's one more coming soonish. I'm excited. I need to play more of this. I'm really excited to try some more of the feature films, see how they twist things up, see if one of them connects better with with me than others do. Definitely trying more of this game. I don't know what it is. Something about the hostage negotiator system updated into this version has now really pulled me in, and I want to try a lot more of this game. Now, again, if you're not into dice-based randomness, you might not want to play this game, but if you're a big horror movie fan and you do like a sort of push your luck kind of planning and seeing how it goes kind of game, this is a strong recommend from me. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that it did show off the game to you. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.